This Porsche GT3 was so exclusive, the original owner had to earn the right to buy it, likely dropping hundreds of thousands between a Cayenne S for his wife and a Taycan Turbo for his girlfriend just to score an allocation for this supercar. But the moment he found out about a serious factory defect, even after paying in full, he couldn't dump this car fast enough. Porsche bought it back, branded it a Lemon, and that's where I perked up. Aside from sharing the same taste in high maintenance thrills, I snagged his GT3 for a fraction of what he paid, and why not? Porsche had already fixed the issue before I ever laid eyes on it. Today I'm going to show you why Lemon Law Cars might be the smartest used car bargain anyone can take advantage of. I'll break down where to find them and how I've gotten up to 50% off market value on a like new car, and even reveal what the dealerships don't want you to know about these backlot bargains. Simply put, a Lemon Law vehicle is a car that was forcibly bought back by a manufacturer after the dealer service center failed to fix it. So if you are the first original owner of a car that's still under its warranty and you bring it in for a certain defect or problem and that dealership can't fix it a few times over, well, you're within your rights to have the vehicle bought back under the Lemon Law. The number of trips it takes to the dealership varies state to state. In some states it's as little as 2 trips, a lot of other states it's 4 or 5 trips, but the issue has to remain exactly the same throughout the process. Now, once the car is bought back by the manufacturer, it is permanently stamped on its title as a buyback, and it's similar to having a title brand like a salvage car. It just devalues the car so much more because it carries this stigma of a car that couldn't be fixed. But in my experience, every single Lemon Law car I've purchased has had their main issues repaired, and while I have been inconvenienced a time or 4 with these Lemon Law cars, I think this minor inconvenience is totally worth the 5 figures in cost savings I typically get when I buy one of these cars, like with this Tesla Model S Plaid. This car was bought back by Tesla because it was presented 7 times to a service center over 51 days where they couldn't get its airbag light off the dashboard. Now, while most Lemon Law cars are fixed before they're again resold the second time, when I took delivery of this Tesla, the airbag light was still on the dashboard. A comparable used Plaid at the time would have cost me over $15,000 more than I ended up paying for this one. Now, I recently made a comprehensive video on my Tesla showing the buying process and all the other little issues that the car came with and what finally fixed its major airbag system problem. So if you want to check it out, you can pause this video and hit the link above. But since having this car officially repaired, I've been daily driving it and it's amazing. The technology really is unmatched. It's so cool to just punch in an address and watch this car drive itself pretty much anywhere, except for the post office, because I use stamps.com. Whether it's car parts or bar charts, you can ship from anywhere using the stamps.com app. Just enter the details and you'll get the internet's best rates on shipping with up to 89% off, which you'll find at UPS and USPS. You can even order shipping supplies and schedule package pickup. Really, everything you need to pack, print, and ship is over at stamps.com/Samcrac. Just bring your own printer and they'll even throw in a free digital scale. And for all the online sellers out there, stamps.com syncs seamlessly with all your marketplaces and shopping carts. Plus, with their rate advisor, you always get the fastest and lowest cost shipping option with no guesswork necessary. Whether you ship 1 or 1,000 things in a month, you're going to see a major cost savings over at stamps.com/Samcrac. All you got to do is hit that link in the description box below, and my viewers right now are going to get a free 4-week trial along with that free digital scale and some free postage. So hit that link in the description box instead of traveling to the post office to wait in line where you'll spend more and get less. Instead, just visit stamps.com/Samcrac. Nowadays, it feels like everyone and their grandma is out here rebuilding a McLaren with nothing but some Harbor Freight tools and calling it better than OEM. Social media has turned these extreme salvage projects into a badge of honor. Like if you didn't drag your car out of a scrapyard, it's not worth owning. But while the hype has gone through the roof, so have the prices. And now, the risk to reward on rebuilding a salvage car, it's about as solid as your average YouTuber's rebuild. Because no matter how shiny the finished product looks, you're still left with the title that tells the whole ugly story. Crash, flood, fire, whatever, complete with photos, records, and a big fat title brand to go along with it. On top of that, the moment the car is deemed salvage, all manufacturer warranties are void. It doesn't matter if the issue has nothing to do with your rebuild, it's just gone. They even get rid of any goodwill warranties, which are those quiet little coverage extensions that manufacturers issue for known problems, like with Mercedes-Benz that had a goodwill campaign on their dual clutch transmission that affected all their AMG GTs. Even if your car was a previous Lemon, it would be covered. But if you had a salvage one, well, it's tough luck and you're staring down a $20,000 bill on a part that fails no matter what. Another thing that matters the most is that banks will finance Lemons in most cases like any other used car. I know it's easy for me to sit here and keep telling you how good of a deal these Lemon Law cars are. Let's get some real insight from my friend OJ Lopez, a former BMW master dealer tech. He's seen what really goes on behind these closed dealership doors when the cars start acting up.
I was a BMW tech at one of the most high volume BMW dealers in the Midwest, and Lemon Law was something we ran into, I'll say, quite frequently, and it was kind of a big deal as a repair tech. There's a few ways to go about this, and really, you didn't hear about Lemon Law unless the customer was aware of that. The customer's already almost bought out because they have to make the dealer aware that this could be potentially the last time they have to fix it. But if you think about it this way, you got, a low-level tech taking a look at something, he gets it wrong, you get a comeback. But if it's a low-level tech, you're probably just giving it back to the guy, not thinking to get anyone else involved, and you might be wasting 2 potential fixes on a harder issue that you weren't thinking about. So if the customer knows about it, they're going to be more apt to do it. Where if you've got a customer coming in, and let's just say he's got a check engine light on, you don't get 3 fixes on a check engine light. It has to be for the same specific fault and instance. As you know, check engine light can come on for 2,000 reasons, so it has to come back with that same code. And how does the customer know it's coming back with that same code? Well, you have to divulge that information, and it has to match 3 times. Now, as you can imagine, behind the scenes, the tech's probably, especially if they're aware of this, and it just comes in with a guy saying he's got the check engine light on again, they don't want to get close to that issue. So they might change the verbiage in the ticket a little bit just to keep this from happening maybe later down the road. But with that said, if the customer's involved and they were saying what happened the last time and they're showing importance, they're already kind of bought out of the car. So it's kind of a balance between what's going on behind the scenes at the dealer, trying to make sure this doesn't happen, what's going on at corporate. But the real important one is that, at least in Illinois, that third and final fix where usually you'd have a service rep come in, and these are regional appointed corporate guys that are, graduated technicians that moved on and they bounce between dealerships and harder jobs. And they're usually there for just the purpose of getting these harder fixes, especially Lemon Law. So if they're involved, they're double, triple checking that fix before it goes back out. You're putting some miles on those cars. The Teslas are a little bit harder because they give you a lot more information. Like I said before, where a check engine light comes on and it might have, 2,000 different fault codes that could come on. Tesla will pop up usually exactly what's going on, and it'll give you some information, and the customer can be aware of that quicker, and they can probably be more sensitive to a Lemon Law buyback pushing that with that information, where it's a black box on the other end, customers bringing it in. And as long as it's not something like a steering vibration in the right front wheel that's 3 times, something that could be, kind of hidden down there, the corporate side would try to bury that to make sure it doesn't happen.
OJ's really provided a lot of good points here, things I didn't even think about before considering any of my Lemon Law cars, but things like Tesla just being more vulnerable of a brand to Lemon Law cases because they're more transparent with their customers. Every single Tesla has a service mode that will show you every diagnostic trouble code in real time that the car is experiencing, and something like this you wouldn't be able to see on any other make or model. You need a diagnostic code reader, and well, a lot of people just don't have those. And what's interesting is if you have to rely on the dealership to give you that diagnostic data, well, it seems like some of the dealers might not be so transparent about it to serve their own best interests. But either way, another really important point is something that I've heard not from just OJ but other dealer techs, and that's the fact that since warranty work pays less, a lot of entry-level techs get all these warranty jobs on these newer cars, the cars that are eligible for a Lemon Law buyback. So if the car comes in one time, an entry-level tech gets that job and fails to fix it, well, the second time the car comes in, it automatically returns to that same entry-level tech because they've already billed out on the job. It's an interesting process. It makes business sense, but the second time that car shows up, the Lemon Law clock starts ticking, and that's when the dealership really has to consider getting others involved. Make sure that that car doesn't become a lemon. And I appreciate OJ bringing up the customers that just know the Lemon Law game a little bit better than the next guy, because I believe that that's where a lot of these buyback cars are born. Well, I don't have any data to back that up. There's a lot of incentive to get your car bought back. The manufacturer will pay you what you paid for it. And so if you tell yourself, I'm going to get rid of this thing no matter what it takes, you could keep bringing it back for an issue that might have A, already been fixed, or B, isn't really an issue, but something just made up. I've heard from many dealer techs that have told me that certain characteristics of a car, like a sports car with squeaky brakes, was brought in repetitively and then lemon lawed out just because the owner wouldn't accept the fact that carbon ceramic brakes tend to be a little bit noisier than your standard brakes. Speaking of squeaking, this Atlas was bought back by Volkswagen because the original owner claimed that when you turn the steering wheel, it would make a squeaking noise. Take a listen to it. I'm pretty sure this is just one of those situations where the not so squeaky wheel got the grease. We've had this car well over a year. It's never had any sort of noise come out of the steering wheel that was abnormal. And the paperwork that came along with it showed that pretty early on the dealership replaced the entire steering gear. Now this car at the time I bought it would have retailed in this trim for about $35,000 to $36,000 at a dealership. That's used, of course. And I paid right around $27,000 with the Lemon title. Now I know this Atlas is the most boring lemon car I've ever featured here, but this thing replaced a very old and needy Range Rover, and that's one less car I have to maintain, so to me, this thing is super exciting. Now when it comes to actually finding Lemon Law cars, there's only one search engine I'm aware of that lets you sort by title brand, and that's Autotempest.com. If you click on the advanced option here, you'll see where it pops up a filter that lets you pick title brands, and all you select is Lemon/manufacturer buyback. Now, honestly, a lot of people are buying these Lemon Law cars first at dealer-only auctions, but the truth is the best deal I've ever got on any Lemon car was straight through a dealership with no auction or insider pass necessary. And here's why deals like that will continue to exist. When most manufacturers buy back a car, they just push it off to the auction, but some of the brands, especially the American ones like Ford, GM, and Dodge, don't just let anyone buy these cars. They reserve them exclusively for their franchise dealers. It's like a perk of being part of their club. They get the first dibs at these Lemon Law units, and with such limited competition on these lots, well, the prices are very low to the dealers. So as long as that dealership doesn't get real greedy, they can pass that discount along to you. The Lemon Lincoln MKC that I bought with just 800 miles on it, brand new, stickered at $47,000. With the buyback brand, I ended up paying a little bit over $23,000 out the door. That's with taxes and fees direct from a Ford dealership, and it was the biggest discount percentage-wise I've ever got on any Lemon car. Now, a lot of the European brands like BMW, Porsche, and Mercedes send these buybacks to an open auction so any dealer can bid. That obviously makes things more competitive, and the discounts aren't always as good, but no matter where they come from, the dealer selling these cars got them way under market, and that means there's usually a lot of wiggle room to negotiate. Now let's have some fun and search for Lemon Porsche Taycans. I'm picking the Taycan because it's one of those cars that had a ton of hype as it was being released, but it flopped hard, and the depreciation curve on these cars has been brutal. When the values nosedive this fast, it creates a huge incentive for all the early adopters to try and get out from under the car, and that's usually through a Lemon Law buyback. And sure enough, you can see here, there is a ton of these Lemon Taycans on the market. I see these showing up at wholesale auctions all the time. And what's interesting is there's no single issue that explains why Porsche is buying all these back. Sometimes they'll just note that it's a charging issue or something within the infotainment, but a lot of the times it just smells like buyer's remorse wrapped in a warranty claim. This happens all the time with any of these super hyped cars that just don't sell well. While this becomes an immediate problem to the car's owners, it ends up becoming an opportunity for people like us. Now, I know I'm portraying these Lemon Law cars in an overly positive light, but like with any used car purchase, you should take them all on a case-by-case basis, and I can tell you about one specific Lemon Law car I was very interested in buying until I saw the paperwork that showed why it was bought back by the manufacturer, and I decided heavily against it. It was when I was buying my Lincoln MKC. That dealership had a bunch of Lemon Lincolns on their lot, and one was a Lincoln MKX. And I really liked this car, really liked the trim, and everything on it looked good, but when the dealer showed me the Lemon Law paperwork, it said that it was bought back due to a weather seal failure where rainwater entered the car and made it past the speaker grills. Now at that point, might as well be a flood totaled car. And while sure, you can fix anything, I don't know what extent the dealership went to replace wiring harnesses, electronics, and then all the soft materials that were compromised by the water. And there's a lot more unknowns in a car like that versus a car that has just a simple isolated issue like that Volkswagen Atlas with a squeaky steering wheel. I passed on that Lincoln, but when I saw this BMW show up recently at the auction for a ridiculously cheap price and a buyback history, I couldn't help myself. Now, it's no secret that these cars are getting cheap, and for a good reason. They're notoriously unreliable, and we're getting to the age now where their hybrid drivetrain systems are becoming of a big concern. Now, I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with this car's hybrid system, but in its current state, it's undrivable. That, along with the fact that it is branded a lemon on the title, I paid in the mid-20s for this car. Now, working and in good shape, these cars are selling in the higher 30s and lower 40s. So you could still get a great deal on an older Lemon that's completely out of warranty, especially if it's a BMW i8, but you also get the satisfaction of knowing that someone's driven this car several miles in between it being bought back by the manufacturer and current day. So to me, the Lemon Law status on this car is pretty well meaningless. And to be honest, if you're considering any BMW i8, just realize that they're all pretty much lemons. Right now, I'm in the middle of making a video on this BMW i8. Of course, I'm trying to fix it as cheap as possible, but please make sure you're following along so you'll be the first to know when that video drops. And also, when we open up the most expensive lemon car I've ever rolled the dice on, the Porsche GT3. In the meantime, let me know what you think about the prospect of buying one of these lemon cars. If you could save anywhere between 20 to 50% off what you'd pay for a comparable car, would you take the deal and drive a lemon? I'll tell you from first-hand experience to take those savings and spend $100 of them on a AAA membership. Just don't take on as many lemons as I have at once, or AAA will cancel your membership, and that's a true story, but a story we'll have to chat about another day. For now, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. I'll catch you very soon.